to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debates, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning.
For the latest issues,
Always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Sounds like I almost heard you say how time flies. It's Friday again already. I mean, it's interesting to know that just 5 days ago exactly, it was the, start of a business week, but now we're wrapping up the same week, all right, on the 5th day. I'm Wiyag Mofwegwe. I've never been happier to welcome you to Global Morning here on Global Television, from where we are broadcasting live from Abuja, the capital of Nigeria. Now, if you need to, at some point, give credit to anyone for the outfit you see on the show today, I just look to my left. I mean, you can't miss that. I'm referring to no other than Jumai Manson, who has done a lot of work behind the scenes to change the appearance this morning. I mean, you know that it's been a while we churned out like this, but I mean, look what she made us do.
Good morning, Uyi. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Oh, I'm looking like one, I don't know, you mix Yoruba, Benin, everything mixed together, princess.
Yeah,
everything.
a bit of North Central as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It shows that we are all Nigerians and there is no disparity in any way. We are just the same and we are beautiful the way we are. It's very important. And to you all out there, good morning to each and every one of you. It's great to be here. Like you said, how time flies. It's Friday, right? And I've mentioned my name, right?
Well, I made your job easier by doing that.
Yes, thank you. He has already mentioned my name. I am Jumai Manson, and yes, it's great to be here this beautiful Friday morning. A lot of things has been making rounds. Of course, impeachment, the alleged impeachment of Fubara in River State. And what's your take on that, really? Did you see this coming?
Well, I thought we were going to just sheath our swords and then move on to other things. Okay, so quite frankly, I never lied to myself that the relationship between former governor of River State, Nyesom Wike, who is now the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, and his successor, Siminalayi Fubara, would go back to what it was prior to 2023 election. But then I also thought, for whatever it's worth, all of the tension, you know, all of the rage had simmered down. We could now say, okay, as they say, politically speaking, father and son can sit and look themselves in the eye. But as it stands right now, it appears both gentlemen can't even share the same room.
And then there's a comment he made. He said a bad child can never change, right?
So that's coming from a mindset of some kind.
Of some kind, really. And I'm trying to understand who the child is supposed to be.
Apparently, it's the governor.
Of course.
Yeah, it was,
of course.
Those were some sort of metaphors.
You know what? For me, I thought this was a fence that was supposed to be mended when the apologies were made. Everyone is now hooray, hurrah, we're happy. But going back to this, really, I knew there was a tussle. I thought it's a normal tussle of going back and forth, going back and forth, going back and forth. But I didn't see this one coming at all. I didn't see, this is like very surprising for me. But let's just see how well this whole thing plays out, basically. We just have to be sure that, let it be for the greater good. For all of these tussles, this back and forth, hope it's for the greater good of the people of River State. Hope it's going to be beneficial to them. But let's just see, you know, they are loyalists, two camps now. One, Fubara, and the other, the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike. But let's just see how well this plays out.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, I should, if I want to be politically correct, say I share in your optimism, but I'm afraid I don't. And I'll tell you why,
Why?
right? Before now, the sort of feud that you saw between Wike and Fubara was such that Wike was the one that was out there about it more. Fubara was probably living in denial. And things
Downplaying
like that.
the whole thing.
Yeah, yes. But as it stands right now, it is all out, full-blown war between both of them. For the first time, I mean, the news is out there, it's public knowledge. We see Fubara coming all out, mentioning name, he's being direct with his verbal attacks. We see all of that. The House has moved now with the impeachment process. We know it's a bit long drawn out, but we have seen it happen before. We saw it in the case of a deputy governor, I mean, several deputy governors, whether it's Edo or Enugu, we've seen that happen. But this is a governor now, and we know how forceful the other side, by that I mean the Wike side, can be about this. However, there has also been the concern of, is President Tinubu on Wike's side in this instant
because
case?
we've seen closed
Is
sessions.
President Tinubu on Governor Fubara's side in this instant case? Or is the president on the fence? I'm afraid, again, the president, from what we all see and know about how politics works and how the president moves, can't be on the fence because in the final analysis, the president has got his eye on 2027.
Yes, he does.
And one of these two men must survive this war. So when the dust all settles, the president will pick one of them. So how all of this drama plays out, it will fundamentally be a determining factor as to who the president picks, because there must be one of them who becomes, for want of better words, more useful in 2027. So who wins this battle will determine how that pans out. And to make it a bit more complicated for Mr. Wike, Fubara has moved to APC.
Yes, he has.
And some people believe, quite frankly, that the FCT minister never saw that coming.
No.
So he's not comfortable with the fact that you not only moved, you moved far ahead of me. You moved when I was not even watching, so to speak. And
Exactly.
it appears Fubara somewhere in his mind feels, I should have even made this move earlier.
Exactly.
And who knows, that could be a competitive advantage that will work for him. But again, it has also become yet another case of when two elephants fight.
The grass. And then, of course, Wike made a statement. He said, even if you defect, but doesn't give you, don't think you're going to be re-elected.
Your second term is not guaranteed.
It's not guaranteed, but at the same time, now, as it seems, we do not know where Wike stands right now. Is he in PDP, is he in APC, or what is going to happen? Or does he want to just destabilize the PDP and ensure that, I do not know what is going on. But I read a post, he said, that says, Wike is not in PDP. You're going to throw him out of PDP. You're going to throw him out of PDP. At the long run, he will not have a party. He'll be frustrated and he'll just be on his own. Well, those are allegations and speculations. Let's just see how well this plays out. But I think he's an underdog. He's someone that knows his onions, and he's going to play this very strategically. Well, hopefully, let's just see how well it. Like you said, 2027 is just around the corner. Right. 2026 now. Before you know it, election campaign will start, and if not, they've even started in some areas. But at the same time, let's just see how well this plays out. And for me, is the people of River State. That's the most important in all of this.
Right.
Politicians will always talk about their best interest in heart, how it favors them and what they can achieve and benefit from all of this, not thinking about the people in whom they represent, and knowing that with this here and there, tussle here and there, it's just the grass, which are the people that suffer the most, really.
Right. Quite interesting. Well, this drama has barely started, so what you're seeing now, in some sense, is the trailer. All right, real movie will start in the next couple of days.
You call it a movie?
Well, that's what it is.
Yes, it is. You're right.
Let's take a quick break, everyone. Just to let you know quickly that the River State issue is big on our front burner this morning here on Global Morning. Of course, we have other issues, including some beyond the shores of our dear country. Please stay with us. Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
A very good evening and welcome to another exciting edition of Big Talk. Tonight on the program,
As always, it's a pleasure to have you. Join us here on Global Morning. I am Uyi Alpo.
You know how we do it on Teacher Post Extra, bringing you all the...
on the desk this evening, we have very topical issues to discuss. And of course,
Welcome to your parliamentary program, The Parliament.
Peaceful and joyful home doesn't happen by chance. It is built on
Women can rise beyond traditional boundaries to claim their rightful place as
numerous committee, about more than 12 committees.
Face to Face is a program that comes to you once in a week at about this time where we look into issues and discuss them. It gives you the opportunity to
rural leaders in United
Welcome
Nigeria. I have
to
a guest.
Entertainment Circle. And trust me, today you're about to get entertained.
Hello everyone and welcome to the program Talk Sports here on Global Television.
Talk Zone is that platform where we bring young and talented artists.
Stay tuned, stay inspired, stay with Global Television on DSTV Channel 365, on Star Times Channel 276.
All right, so let's stretch it a bit further. News is moving real quick. Peter Obi now is saying that you have about 141 million Nigerians. I mean, take a look at that number for a second time. 141 million Nigerians ensnared, trapped, stuck in and by poverty by politicians. And he says, including himself, running around the place, jostling for political power, control of structures. In fact, it goes further to say that they are already distributing positions and offices before elections are even concluded. You see, some people may say, well, Mr. Peter Obi is trying to be politically correct, or is trying to worm his way into the hearts of members of the public. But there's a lot of truth. You have a lot of fact in what he has said. First off, he's relying on data from the World Bank that says that the poverty net or bracket, if you like, has expanded, of course, for all the wrong reasons. And again, the impact and implications are very clear. And then he says, rather than put our act together, keep the main thing, focus on how to cut down poverty numbers. We're busy jostling for power, talking about 2027, and you find political parties and politicians, all they are more interested in is how to grab and continue to grab.
It's politically correct, like you mentioned. Of course, we do not set our priorities straight when it comes to mostly our politicians who they want to just grab. But I think people are becoming awake now. Like I mentioned before, if you're not performing, they will bring you out and they will drag you in public and say, hey, he's not performing, he should leave, he should be removed from office with immediate effect. Like Nigerians, we are becoming aware now. Our numbers is large, yes, but at the same time, we are becoming aware. I think 2027, let's not get it twisted, it's a whole new ball game entirely. A lot of Nigerians now know that we now know our rights. It's not back in the day where we didn't know, where you can come into office and get away with whatever you do, whatever stunts you perform there, when you do not give what is due to us as Nigerians, and we just keep quiet about it, or we just grumble within our space, within our friends, and we keep. Now we want to know. There are informations out there. We want to know. There are datas out there. There are informations that are made open to the general public, and you and I as a Nigerian, we have a right to know, and we have a right to say, no, you have to stop this, or no, we do not want this, or no, we want him out of office. There are protest strikes here and there, and for some making a difference, for some not making a difference. But I think as a Nigerian, once we stand our ground, politicians who know that they have their own interests at heart will not come and coin and make it look as if they are the right ones. Well, let's look towards this direction. what I'm saying, I'm speaking to the heart of Nigerians. I understand your pain, but when they get there, we see something different. We're tired of this up and down where you try to cajole us as a people, as Nigerians. But at the same time, like I said, we are now awake, we're now aware. We now know that we have a voice. I can come out and say, no, we do not want this individual. We strike some protests here and there, and it makes a difference. So when politicians come out like this and talk about these things, you just wonder. We keep going. This is the same thing that goes on and on. When elections are around the corner, a politician will come out and make it look as if I am the right person for you, I am the right candidate. But once we get there, we see a different ballgame. So, hey, come on, we've passed that.
Well, I'm sure there will be reactions to all of this again, especially coming from no less a person than Peter Obi.
Exactly.
Who has become such, if you like, a significant force in Nigeria's politics, especially since 2022. And talking of politics, by the way, we understand, of course, he has now moved officially to the ADC.
Yes.
And it's been the 9th day since he declared officially in Enugu, which is now being popularly referred to as the political capital of the East.
Yes.
But then you're wondering, looking at the caliber of people now packed, so to speak, into the ADC. You have David Mark, of course, we understand so far there's no indication he wants to run. He's the chairman of the party.
Exactly.
But then you have someone like the former vice president, Atiku Abubakar.
Yes,
you have a former governor of Rivers State, Rotimi Chibuike-Amechi. And now you have Mr. Peter Obi. These are, many people say, very influential, powerful, politically relevant, clustered individuals, all right? Now, these are just the 3 that we can categorically mention. Who knows? There's still some time.
Not so sure.
A few other persons may join the race somehow, but I think the 2 that seem to stand out for most Nigerians
is Atiku and
Peter Obi. And they are saying,
so sure.
How do we play this, or how does the ADC intend to play this? First of all, President Bola Tinubu is a powerful politician.
Yes, he is.
Whether you're talking about him as the governor of Lagos State or now that he's the president, the APC, the party that he builds, so to speak, is the leading party or the ruling party. And then the president, as it stands today, we know is from the South. And the calculation for what we have seen since 1999 is that power has to go to remain in the South until 2031 when it moves to the North for another 8 years. Incidentally, when you drill that down within the context of the ADC, you're asking yourself, is Peter Obi going to be advanced as the candidate of the party, being that he is from the South, and then Mr. Atiku or anyone else for that matter will run with him as running mates? People say, well, that is never going to happen because Mr. Atiku is going to clinch the ticket. Besides, there's a party that he has nurtured, even though we know there has always been ADC anyway, that he nurtured the party. He has invested, very significantly in the party. Then what else do you expect him to do? Yes, Atiku has said that nobody is stepping down for anybody. You want to make it a level playing field kind of thing.
Exactly.
Everybody, throw your hat in the ring, and things like that. But when it's all said and done, we have seen one thing is clear. You almost can never take the word of a politician to the bank, especially when those banks have downtime issues and things like that. That's just on the lighter note. But quite frankly, it looks a bit dicey. But yet we're hearing, this is something that Glow TV has not independently verified, that Peter Obi has accepted to be the running mate. If I had Peter Obi here, for example, that's one of the first 3 questions I'll put in front of him, all right? That he has accepted to be the running mate to Atiku Abubakar. Now the question is, for a party that has obviously not held conventions, is that possible? A party that has not done its primaries, is that possible? Again, you're also asking, is it not possible that these were part of the elements in the negotiations that brought Peter Obi from Labour Party
to ADC?
To the ADC. Because if you know Peter Obi, even from a distance, you understand that he's a structured thinker.
Oh, yes, he is.
He's not an anyhow guy.
No.
So he wants to be sure before he moves.
Very true.
Therefore, I'm only curious as a Nigerian, I'm sure that's the same thing for many citizens, to say, look, what kind of conversation did these gentlemen have that led to Peter Obi's move from the Labour
Knowing
Party?
that all of these individuals also are vying for the
powerful,
same.
Yes,
exactly.
And it's going to be very competitive.
Very competitive. So this sort of thing, you just wonder, and you say to yourself, that is this a strategy, or are you trying to You do, like now, all parties now, when you talk about the APC, ADC, everyone, I think it's not business as usual.
Right.
They don't want to be predictable. So that's how I see it, because we know how it is, we all know how it's going to end, or we all know how it starts. Oh, we've seen this before, so they want maybe a different strategy.
Right.
So that's why we have to all just sit back and watch how this plays out. Like you said, he's a strategist. He won't just jump into any part. He's a man of composure. He's a man that's of integrity. So it's very important that he is sure, he knows what the negotiations are all about, and if it's beneficial to him, and of course Nigerians. We know he has Nigerians at heart. I am not in ADC, I work with Global Television, so all politicians, as long as you do the needful to Nigerians, I'm good to go. But at the same time, this is for most Nigerians, people are trying to figure it out and know what this is all about. These are big individuals that carry weight. Like Atiku Abubakar is someone that has been going up and about for this particular position for a very long time, and he's not standing down anytime soon. And he has said it. He has come out openly, bluntly, to tell you that, hey, it's the presidential ticket I'm going for. That's what I want. And of course, Atiku. Peter Obi has said the same thing. Amechi, I'm not so sure. Even if he's going to come, I don't think, I'm just saying, I don't think he has made that impact for Nigerians. I'm sure in some places he has. Maybe he has loyalists that think that he's the right man. Once he's on the seat of the president, he's going to be the one that will make impact, the savior that will come and do the needful. Not too sure. But looking at Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi, of course, we know that they have a lot of followers behind them. But let's just see how well this plays out. So for the speculations of Peter Obi being coming out as the running mate, I don't know. But at the same time, let it just be for the greater good of Nigeria and Nigerians, the greater good.
Incidentally, along those lines, a man like Professor Pat Utomi, one of Nigeria's foremost political economists, now says that if, again, operative word, if Peter Obi has accepted, if it is established at some point that Peter Obi has accepted the offer to be running mate to anyone, whether it's Atiku Abubakar or anyone else for that matter, he would withdraw his support from him, because recall that they both had been in the Labour Party.
Yes, together.
At a point, the ticket had virtually been given to Professor Pat Utomi and all of that. But people will always also ask, of what weight, of what value politically is Professor Pat Utomi's support for Peter Obi? Well, those are some of the things we'll wait to find out. And I'm very sure that we are still scratching the surface as far as this electoral process is concerned.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. But let's just see how well this whole thing plays out. For Pat to be someone, a man of worth, a man of integrity, we all know. And at the same time, you're not too sure of the kind of weight he carries. He's the kind of person that is at the backstage, sits down and watch and does a lot. I'm sure financing and all of that, he does a lot when it comes to that. But at the same time, let's just see. But, well, let's just hope and pray, basically. Let the best man win, they say. Let the best man be pushed
I think that's a fine place to leave it. Let's take a quick break, but this break also means that we'll spend the next 9 minutes with Ramsey Enoch Agbo as he brings us some inspiration. Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debates, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning.
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
A very good evening and welcome to another exciting edition of Big Talk. Tonight on the program,
As always, it's a pleasure to have you. Join us here on Global Morning. I am Uyi Alpo.
You know how we do it on Teacher Post Extra, bringing you all the...
on the desk this evening, we have very topical issues to discuss. And of course,
Welcome to your parliamentary program, The Parliament.
Peaceful and joyful home doesn't happen by chance. It is built on...
Women can rise beyond traditional boundaries to claim their rightful place as
a numerous committee, about more than 12 committees.
Festival is a program that comes to you once in a week at about this time where we look into issues and discuss them. It gives you the opportunity to
Rural leaders in United
Welcome
Nigeria. I have
to
a guest.
Entertainment Circle. And trust me, today you're about to get entertained.
Hello everyone and welcome to the program Talk Sports here on Global Television.
Top Zone is that platform where we bring young and talented artists.
Stay tuned, stay inspired, stay with Global Television on DSTV Channel 365, on Star Times Channel 276.
a very good evening and welcome to another exciting edition of Big Talk. Tonight on the program,
As always, it's a pleasure to have you. Join us here on Global Morning. I am Uyi Alpo.
You know how we do it on Teacher Post Extra, bringing you all the...
on the desk this evening, we have very topical issues to discuss. And of course,
Welcome to your parliamentary program, The Parliament.
Peaceful and joyful home doesn't happen by chance. It is built on...
women can rise beyond traditional boundaries to claim their rightful place as
A numerous committee, about more than 12 committees.
Festival is a program that comes to you once in a week at about this time where we look into issues and discuss them. It gives you the opportunity to
Rural leaders in United
Welcome
Nigeria. I have
to
a guest.
Entertainment Circle. And trust me, today you're about to get entertained.
Hello everyone and welcome to the program Talk Sports here on Global Television.
Top Zone is that platform where we bring young and talented artists.
Stay tuned, stay inspired, stay with Global Television on DSTV Channel 365, on Star Times Channel 276.
All right, you're welcome back. Apologies, we did not bring inspirational to you today, but hopefully subsequently there will be inspirational, just due to circumstances beyond our control. At about this time is a newspaper review segment, and we'll start with the first paper of the day. It's the Guardian newspaper, and below the nameplate of the Guardian newspaper, it says UN climate fight suffers as US exits 66 international body treaties, and that is on page 3. And still on page 3, it says FG raises 1.1 trillion naira from first 2026 Treasury bills auction. And then on page 3 again, it says politicians scrambling for power while Nigerians fall into poverty, and that's Obi laments. And still on page 3. Now the star story on the Guardian, it says Fubara may meet Tinubu as Rivers row escalates with Assembly probe, and that is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. Now below that is BVN enrollments hit 67.8 million, 325 million bank accounts active, okay? And that's on page 7. Now on page 4 and 5 of the Guardian, it says Golden Hour Rule, how gaps in Nigeria's emergency response compound fatalities. Am I surprised on that? No, I am not. And of course, the gaps are wide when it comes to response. It's very unfortunate. This is what it is, especially on highways. There are no ambulances, it's just unfortunate.
No emergency service.
No emergency service. It's just unfortunate, really. And here it says NCAA threatens stiffer sanctions over flight delays, cancellations, and they should do something about that, very importantly. And that's on page 27. Now it says here Tinubu rallies investors to NGX after 100 trillion naira milestone, and that you will find on page 7. Now, tax laws, this controversy everywhere now. Experts warn of disputes, capital fight despite governor assurances. And below the foot of the Guardian newspaper, the business page, it says FG to review tariff for industrial growth, lower production cost. And like I said, it's on page 7. Please go out and get yourself a copy of the Guardian newspaper to be well abreast with these major headlines making rounds. And next we have the Vanguard. Over to you, Uy.
All right. From the very top of it, it says FG directs shipping firms, airlines to submit manifests via national single window. Those details you will find on page 19. Top right, governors who defect should lose seats. Mogalu talking on page 11. 141 million Nigerians poor while politicians jostle for power. Peter Obi is the one to whom that is credited, and Juma and I had a chit chat about this a while ago. U.S. Senate rebukes Trump over Venezuela, and then the Star headline says impeachment, APC Rivers Assembly at war over Fubara deputy, with at least half a dozen riders with that headline. APC PDP factions rejects impeachment move. Drop impeachment threats against governor. INC, RYC urge Assembly, that's the Joint National Congress and the Joint Youth Congress. PDP splits as Wike's camp backs Rivers Assembly. Lawmakers accuse governor, deputy of misappropriation. Others vow not to receive 2026 budget from Fubara. Adjourned to January 15. ADC monitoring Rivers crisis, yet to take position. As a spokesman for the ADC there, Abdullahi Bolaji talking. All right, Nigeria attracts $14 billion of foreign investments in 9 months of 2025. Oxford Dictionary adds Mami Market, Amala, other Nigerian words into glossary. You can find that on page 9. I think they do that every other time, perhaps on a yearly basis. They continue to adopt, as we say, new Nigerian or African words into the glossary of the Oxford Dictionary.
Fantastic.
All right?
Fantastic.
All right. Let's move a bit further. It says federal government disburses AFCON bonuses to Super Eagles. That's Finance Minister. We saw the Minister of State for Finance, Doris Uzoka Anyite, particularly speaking to this issue. Well, read up details of these headlines from the Vanguard newspaper today. Next port of call is the Nigerian Tribune.
All right, now we have the Nigerian Tribune at about this time, and the story reads below the nameplate. It says 141 million Nigerians living in poverty is threat to country's future, and that's from Peter Obi there. And beside that, it says Oyo bandit attack, operative step up investigations, comb Kwara, Niger boundaries, Song, Adams, Akala, Afifere, others condemn attack, call for more security presence in strategic places, and that you will find on page 2. Now, the star story on the Nigerian Tribune says tension in Rivers over move to impeach Fubara. And we have two riders there. It says APC, INC, IYC express divergent views. And the second rider says why he must go, and that's the Assembly. And that you will find on page 21 and 22 of the Nigerian Tribune. Now, below that, it says Nigeria's democracy thriving, not under threat. APC replies Atiku, and that's on page 22. Not so sure about that, but let's see. Well,
right.
Failed transactions, mobile network operators, banks refund over 10 billion naira to customers. And there's one rider there, it says NCC, CBN rollout, refund framework. And on health issues now, it says single dose oral cholera vaccine completes phase 1 trial with promising results. And that you will find on page 8. And of course, that's a sort of relief. Makoko residents rendered homeless as Lagos government demolishes houses, and that's on page 27. Not such a good news. Well, there's going to be demolition. There should be alternative measures for individuals who stayed in
some sort of soft landing.
Soft landing. It makes it easier. Now we have to deal with the problem of homelessness by these individuals. It's really unfortunate. Please, there should be an alternative measure once there is demolition going on. Now, Tinubu applauds NGX 100 trillion naira milestone, and the writer says charges Nigerians to invest more locally, and that's on page 6. And basically, that is all the major headlines on the Nigerian Tribune, and we will run us through the next paper, which is This Day. Over to you, William.
All right, thank you, Jumai. Tinubu hails corporate Nigeria, other stakeholders over NGX 100 trillion naira milestone in capital markets. We'll bring you to riders with that headline. Tasks Nigerians to deepen their investments in nation's economy. Assures 2026 will yield greater returns as government's economic reforms deliver stronger results. Sounds quite promising there. NUPRC NMDPRA deepen partnership set to resolve regulatory overlaps, other issues. We encourage you to find those details on page 5. Lagos Assembly passes Sanwo-Olu's 4.4 trillion naira 2026 budget. The budget of Lagos has doubled now since 2020. I think for 2021 it was just a neighborhood of 2 trillion, but now it's 4.4 trillion. That's twice the amounts from 5 years ago. All right, Mark, ADC reviewing its constitution for inclusiveness, accountability, and fairness. Rivers Assembly begins third impeachment proceedings against Fubara. APC fights back, warns lawmakers. CD urges Tinubu to rein in Wike as INC, IYC warn against escalation of hostilities. Uriwa rejects impeachment plots. It's not corrective measure, it's political misadventure, group alleges. All right, those are your headlines this morning from This Day newspaper. Next port of call will be the Punch newspaper.
All right, the Punch newspaper giving us some very punchy headlines here. And above the nameplate, it says, APC ramps up membership e-registration. And that is on page 7. And of course, that's the Punch newspaper. And next to it, on the Punch newspaper, it says FG earmarks 1.7 trillion naira in 2026 budget for unpaid contractors. And that's on page 20. On page 19, on the Punch, it says Dangote refinery marketers fuel deal crashes. And beside the nameplate on the Punch newspaper, it reads Insurgency. FG, U.S. company, plan delivery of 12 attack helicopters. And that's on page 7. And that's the picture of the Chief of Air Staff there. And moving on to the Star story, says Rivers in turmoil. APC leaders intervene as Fubara faces fresh impeachment threat. And the Rider Reed Assembly accuses governor of constitutional breaches, issues 7-day ultimatum, Rivers APC fraction, others back Fubara. And then below all of that, it says Lagos Assembly passes 4.4 trillion naira 2026 budget. And that read you will find on page 27. On page 4, on the Punch, it says Ogun teenage boy dies during swimming. Unfortunate incident there. And on page 19, it says 2027, SAN leads ADC 21-man Constitution Review Committee. All right, that is all of the stories making rounds on the Punch newspaper. And now over to the Daily Trust. Over to you, Uwe.
All right. What have we got there? Says inflation likely to fall below 10% in 2026. Tinubu, of course, Nigerians can't wait to see that happen. Citizens, businesses express concerns over tax laws. 10 children die of cholera in Taraba. Quite sad. How Rivers Peace deal collapsed again. That's Star headline. Of course, a big story on today's issue of the Daily Trust newspaper. Kano Assembly justifies Governor Yusuf's planned defection. Afenifere decries terror attacks in Southwest. U.S. withdraws from EGUSOC, 65 other global organizations. The Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, has also reacted to these developments, says it's quite a sad one, but then there's nothing anybody can do about that. 6 farmers die in Fresh Plateau attack. All right, next part of call for us as you go to read details from Daily Trust now will be the Nation newspaper.
All right, the Nation newspaper, and it reads here on page 3, it says, stock markets 100 trillion naira milestone, sign of renewed confidence. And on page 3 of the Nation, it says, federal government explains how lowest income earners will pay 0 tax. All right, that's good news for some. That's really good news, because the fear of tax, they say, is the beginning of what? Wisdom. And of course, on page 6 and on page 3, the first is on page 6, it says, Lagos Assembly passes 4.4 trillion naira 2026 appropriation bill. And that's on page 6. And then on page 3, it says, NAF pushes for delivery of 12 fighter jets from the United States. And that's on page 3. Now the Star story reads, these are from the lawmakers, why Fubara should go. And that's on page 2. Now, let me ask a question now. Right. You're the politically inclined individual here, which I believe, right? If, let's say Fubara, for instance, is impeached out of River States, what happens? Can he rerun for a second term? What happens in that? That's one of the questions I'm going to be asking our guest today when he comes. Yeah, does it affect anything?
If it's impeached, first of all, okay, let's be clear. We've seen where there had been attempts in more than one state since 1999 to impeach an elected governor, all right? Whatever the motive or the intention was, right? But the goal in those instances, as far as I remember, and my memory serves me right, was to impeach the governor. However, in this case, it's a different kettle of fish because the House of Assembly is moving to impeach both the governor and his deputy. Yes. So that in itself is a challenge, because if that happens, at least in between that time, you're going to have the speaker become the governor, as they say in Latin, pro tempore, which means he will be the governor or act as the governor temporarily until when the constitution is followed further by conducting elections again for both the office of the governor and the deputy governor. Of course, at that point, the political parties will now throw their hats in the ring again to run and things like that. But you see, why that is constitutionally the provision, you are asking yourself, what would be the political, the economic, the social implications for the people of Rivers State? Because this fight is not about Rivers State people.
No.
I mean, nobody's going to sit here and lie to us in 2026.
Of course.
This is about two men, Nyesom Wike and the governor, Siminalayi Fubara. So at the end of the day, the question is, who takes the brunt, or who bears the brunt? On who does it take, on whom does it take a toll? Because at the end of the day, the governor is supposed to be able to sit down, do his job, provide leadership of the people of the state. But now some people also say that it's the 600 billion that the former administrator, Mr. Abbas, left there, having spent 6 months in the saddle, that is the basis for these fights. And the other day, if you remember, a few days ago, Wike said that politicians are busy skirting around the 600 billion naira. So if that's the case, I mean, that's a lot of money in Nigeria today.
Yes,
That's well over $500 billion. So it's always been about the money. It's always been about the power. It's always been about clout. It's always been about who is in control. As it stands right now, Juma, just to add to this, Wike is now saying that there are no political parties in Rivers State anymore as we know them. That what you have now is the Renewed Hope family. And everybody's asking, hold on a second, what does that really mean? Is that an INEC registered political party? Or is it a special purpose vehicle? What exactly do you... But again, it's about control. And sadly, in the case of Nigeria, power is in the hands of a minority, very tiny minority. I mean, just a handful of people.
Fantastic. All right, now, question answered. Now let's move to the next point of call, and it's the Daily Sun. Over to you.
All right, so let's go wrap it up there. Incidentally, that's been our last paper for you this morning. What does it say here? It says to us that, first off, adjacent the nameplate, Tinubu hails NGX's 100 trillion naira milestone, urges more local investments in face of economic reforms. All right, the Sun Awards, we are humbled by our recognition, Governor Ochu, Bishop Okonkwo. Tension in Rivers over move to impeach Governor Fubara. Then he's got two riders with it. States, APC, others tackle House of Assembly. Governor is a threat to democracy. Speaker. Okay, that's the House of Assembly trying to establish basis for this impeachment. Four more headlines here. Bottom right, e-registration. Umba says 2 million Enugu APC membership targets, says era of fringe politics over. Yeah. Johesu NARD strikes threaten healthcare delivery. FMC Abuja MD. FMC Abeokuta resident doctors begin total strike on Monday. So we've got to brace up. ADC gears up for 2027 polls, inaugurates Constitution Review Panel. Those details await you on page 26. Afenifere raises alarm over upsurge in terrorism in southwest Nigeria. Challenges southwest governors to take urgent action. I dare you to read up on page 27 of the Daily Sun today. Of course, also do well to read up details of the other papers from where we have brought you headlines today. As always, I would like to establish a quick caveat that Global Television does not in any way contribute to these papers, whether they are headlines or details. All we do for you on the program is present you the headlines just as they have been published by their respective publishers. We're taking a break. The rest of Global Morning continues shortly. Please stay with us. Up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning.
For the latest issues,
Always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
All right, you're still watching the live broadcast of Global Morning here on Global Television. Well, as part of our tradition, now time to join Ogochukwu Mobono on Social Bus. Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Very good evening and welcome to another exciting edition of Big Talk. Tonight on the program,
As always, it's a pleasure to have you. Join us here on Global Morning. I am Uyi Alpo.
You know how we do it on Teacher Boss Extra, bringing you all the...
on the desk this evening, we have very topical issues to discuss. And of course,
Welcome to your parliamentary program, The Parliament.
Peaceful and joyful home doesn't happen by chance. It is built on...
Women can rise beyond traditional boundaries to claim their rightful place as
Very numerous committee, about more than 12 committees.
Face to Face is a program that comes to you once in a week at about this time where we look into issues and discuss them. It gives you the opportunity to
World leaders in United
Welcome
Nigeria.
to Entertainment Circle. And trust me, today you're about to get entertained.
Hello everyone and welcome to the program Talk Sports here on Global Television.
Talk Zone is that platform where we bring young and talented artists. Stay tuned, stay inspired, stay with Global Television on DSTV channel 365, on Star Times channel 276.
Hello and good morning. Welcome to Social Boss here on Global Morning. I am Obachukwu Mobno and I am joined here with Uyi Agbomofuegbe. Good morning, Uyi.
Good morning, Obachukwu. It's so good to see you.
I think it's just the weather. How are you doing, Uyi?
I've been great. What more can I say?
All right. So let's jump into the topic of discuss today. What's trending on social media? We're talking about Orji Kalu, the Okosisi one of Abia State, who is condemning Alex Oti's achievement. The former Abia State governor and senator representing Abia North, Orji Kalu, has said he is yet to see any significant achievement by the current governor, Alex Oti, since he assumed office. Speaking during a recent interview with journalists, Kalu claimed that Governor Oti has merely been repainting roads that were originally constructed during his own tenure as governor. He also lamented that he has been subjected to insults because of his membership of the All Progressive Congress APC. Kalu further stated that he played a key role in Oti's emergence as governor in the 2023 elections, but made it clear that he would not offer similar support in 2027. According to him, his loyalists will instead work for the APC, his party. The former governor also alleged that the funds allocated to Abia State within Oti's first 4 months in office were equivalent to what his own administration received over 80 years. He insisted that unlike during his tenure, he has not seen the construction of any major roads under the current administration. However, contrary narratives have continued to circulate online. Many reports described Abia State as being plagued by poor infrastructure and widespread decay between 1999 and 2023, prior to Oti's administration. There are also long-standing claims that civil servants were owed salaries arrears of up to 8 months before Oti took over. Additionally, several major roads in the state, including Port Harcourt Road, Umuma Road, and Obohia Road, were reportedly notorious as death traps, a situation that allegedly contributed to the abandonment of many properties in those areas. All right, so while Orji Kalu, the former governor of Abia State, was condemning Oti and he condemning his achievements in Abia State, some other persons are telling you, no, this thing you're saying, it's not true. And honestly, the reports we've been getting online, including comments for this particular topic, we've been seeing a lot of them, and people, the people of Abia State have been saying something good. They've all had something good to say about the governor. But I do not understand that part where he said, I supported Alex Oti in the during the 2023 election, but I won't be supporting him now. I don't understand why Orji Kalu is saying that, following the good reports we've been getting online about the present governor, Alex Oti of Abia State. So he is here, of course, you know that, to help us, just because I said I do not understand that. So just in case you are also there wondering why Orji Kalu made out the statement, it is a bit confusing. So he is going to help break that particular, talk about Orji Kalu saying he's not going to support the present governor in the rerun in 2027. Instead, he is going to support someone from APC because he feels the governor, Oti, has not done anything since 2023. So what do you think?
All right. There are two things, I should say quite briefly. The first is to say that it's common sense, it's natural, and it's a given that Ogochukwu Mobuna will support her party and Uyag Mofwegwe will support his party. It's only natural. Okay. So if I come out saying to Ogochukwu, look, as the elections are getting closer, rest assured I'm not supporting you, I'm going to throw my weight behind my own candidates. It doesn't sound anything close to spectacular. That's number one. Number two, if you want to cycle back to 2023, I'm so sure of this, that Senator Kalu was already a member of the APC. So on what level, in what way, to what extent did he support Governor Alex Oti of the Labour Party? Maybe in an election cycle before 2023, just maybe, because I know Alex Oti had also contested on other platforms before he eventually won in 2023 on the platform of the Labour Party. So if, without conceding, right, that Senator Kalu had supported Governor Oti in 2023, would that not amount to anti-party politicking or anti-party activity, given that your party also had a dog in the fight in 2023, so to speak, you had a candidate in that election in 2023. So what point is being made? I'm not so sure. So I think In summary, this is not a strategic move. And the governor has said that your repeated narratives and rhetorics around I'm not going to support you, I'm not going to lend you help, it's not making much of sense, and it's becoming more like a threat to him, he says, because given the statement that he has put out now through his media aid, threats don't they don't weaken him, they don't frighten him, instead they toughen him. That's what he says. In any case, look at the consensus even within the political space. People are saying that Okezie Ikpeazu was there for 8 years on the platform of the PDP, and let's say what he achieved in 8 years of being a governor cannot be compared to what Governor Oti has done in less than 3 years. I think that should be the conversation. So if Abians, home and abroad, are not going to focus or expected to focus on this narrative or this frontier being advanced by Senator Kalu, who himself had been the governor of that state between 1999 and 2007. It's just going to be a mere distraction and nothing else. And this is the point at which we are going to say to the governor of the state, Alex Oti, and his team to stay focused, all right, stay the course, and ensure that they don't get their eye off the ball.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Oye, for your contribution. Stay focused and don't get your eyes off the ball. If he is doing something, I always say it's not about the party. I don't know why politicians always carry the party. It's party. For me, it's not all about the party. It's about the individual. So it doesn't matter what party you are. You could be in party X, Y, Z. But if you as a person, if I think you can do the job, why not? We'll pick you, and that's just all. All right, that's all we have for you today on Social Buzz here on Global Morning. I remain Ogochukwu Mobno. Please stay with us as Global Morning continues. Bye.
We understand going forward, INEC has now rolled out commenced the second phase of its voter registration exercise, saying that it's another window for those who missed the last one from 2025 to take advantage and ensure that they register to vote, not just for 2027, but for other rounds of elections. But one interesting thing is that INEC categorically highlighted Lagos, encouraging residents in that state to ensure they come out in their numbers to register. Again, that's for those who have not registered or do not hold a valid voter or what we call permanent voter card. But again, Juma, that's what the challenge is. You know, first of all, on election day, you talk about voter apathy in most cases. You say, in this, let's say, as they call it, off-grid election cycle. For example, say Bayelsa or Kogi or Edo has election. And then you say it was 2.8 million people that registered to vote. But in the end, the total number of voters you're finding will probably be something in the neighborhood of 800,000 or overall less than 1 million. You say, well, it's voter apathy. It's not because they didn't have cards. It's not because they probably were not even in town or within their voting areas, but they just didn't come out because of apathy.
Yeah.
But INEC is saying, let's even go further down and get people to register. Let's even be sure we have as many people as possible having their permanent voter cards, because without that, there's no way, of course, you can vote.
Of course.
All right. So INEC is now saying that we're rolling out this phase of the registration, which normally starts online, so that everybody can. Do you have PVC, by the way?
Of course. I'm a true Nigerian. What do you mean?
I've seen two Nigerians who don't.
Well, I am. And because when I, you know, at a point, I had to understand, of course, you know, our job. Sometimes we're here, there's no way we can go out and vote, or whenever we're done with work, it's late for us to go get it. But this is seamless now. It shows that once you have your permanent voter's card, you have a voice. So, and when you have a voice, you can pick the leader of your choice. Oh my goodness, that rhymed. Just kidding.
You're a poet in the works.
On a lighter note. But the truth is, you are a true Nigerian when you get your permanent voter's card. It shows that you are aware of what is going on. I can pick my leader. I don't need anyone to cajole me. Just play your part. You know, someone said now he's now aware that if I do not vote, maybe it's my vote that didn't make the difference. Or my vote will make the difference when it comes to electing the right individual on that particular seat. So it's very important we go out and get our permanent voter's card, because, you know, voting is your right. As long as you are franchised to do so, you should. It is your right for you to do the needful as a Nigerian, not just as a Nigerian, but for the nation.
You know, a lot of persons we talk to say, well, you know, I don't believe in the system. Votes don't count. So
it does.
They don't feel incentivized enough to want to go. But you see, we're going to come to that in a minute. I remember back in the day in class, third year, no, it was final year, where a lecturer talked about how that Nigeria is in a phase where we have to do the hard work, do the heavy lifting, politically and socially, because I mean, democracy just got here not too long ago. That's what he was saying. And he talked about how that there was a time, even in the United States, where we say we borrowed this democracy from, where you would have to incentivize people so much just to come out to vote, to the point of throwing parties for them. This is not election day party. This is before election, days or even weeks sometimes before election. You throw a party to encourage them. You put up different social events where people can unwind, have fun, you know, get to meet each other and things like that, just to encourage them to come out to vote. But today, there's a flip to that. People are so patriotic that they look forward to it. It's like a big celebration.
Yes, it is.
Like a big event for them.
Because it counts.
Exactly. So Nigeria must also take time to do that. We got a guest here the other day. Obang Usoro spoke to him on Big Talk in the course of the week. And we got talking off air. And he said, look, even though he's a politician, he believes that votes do count. That he has seen, even as a member of a political party, where his party was thought to win, was thought to stand a better chance than all other parties, someone from another party won that election. And he can tell you for free that election was largely free and fair. That it has too many electoral events and outcomes. He has seen so many of them that nobody can convince him that votes don't count. And how do you also lend credence to that? It's by looking at politicians. Why is it that politicians who are in Abuja, who hardly even go to their constituencies, all right, in years, but when it's time for election, they go home. They go to every nook and cranny. At that point in time, they don't. All the roads are motorable for them. They want to go everywhere to talk to people to vote. Why do they have to canvass for votes? Why do they have to persuade or convince their people to vote? Because they realize that those votes will count. Why do they even have to go as far as to the polling units to buy votes, to sell votes? Why do they have to, days, weeks before election, try to influence people, trying to induce them one way or another? In some cases here, collect their PVCs from them just to ensure that they secure their votes. All of this is to say that votes do count.
Vote do count. And then, you know, now, like I said, back in the day, we were not as intentional as we are now.
Right.
Like true Nigerians will follow it up back to back. You know, when I was a correspondent for Jaji when I was in Kaduna, so I watched when the electoral process was ongoing.
Right.
You see people with their pen and paper writing
all the tallies
on the tallies and knowing that okay, this was the result that was called here, and they will actually take out their time to actually calculate to know. Now Nigerians are becoming more aware. They now know that hey, my vote count and I will follow it to the letter. I'm not very intentional. Why? Because it is my right. That is the only way I can make a drastic change on who I want as a leader to be on that particular seat, who will represent you and I. Back in the day, we didn't take it so seriously because we felt elections they're always rigged, which I would, well, I don't want to say anything, but at that point, we all know the scenarios surrounding all of that. But now it's a different ballgame. People follow it now to the letter. And if it does not tally with what we are seeing, it's not going to be read out. And that's the thing. So it's going to be on halt. So it's very important that you understand that as a Nigerian, you might have that mindset that vote doesn't count or whatever, but now it's a different ball game. It makes a difference now because people are now very intentional. They are very much aware. They know that it's a systematic thing. I need to be part and parcel of it in order to make a difference in my country. So it's very important that Nigerians are becoming aware. It might not seem like it because everyone wants to quote and unquote jackpot the system, what's happening, but there are some who take it to the letter, who believe that this country, with you and I as an individual, I might not be high up there in the parastatal, but I would definitely make a difference and my vote will make that difference and it will count. Let's bet and see what will happen in 2027. A lot of people are going to come out in their mass. A lot will come out to vote. It's very important.
You see, when I look at this, I see people who, for the most part, also feel, well, the government is not doing right by me. Why should I vote for government? That's a misconception.
Exactly.
You're not voting for government.
No, you're not.
Voting for individuals. If you go to the US, there are Americans, whether Hispanics, people of color, all of them, who feel, they are at a distance from Trump in terms of ideology, in terms of political conviction and things like that, but they still go out to vote because they know America as a country does not belong to him. It belongs to all of them. It's the same thing with our country and indeed every other country. It belongs to all. You may disagree with President Bola Tinubu on policy issues, for example, but that does not stop you from going to vote in Osun this year or later this year in Ekiti or in 2027 when it's the general election cycle. Now, what that means is that we must think long term, we must look beyond our nose and realize that whatever we're doing today by way of casting our votes, and of course, ditto those who do not vote at all, is for the generation after us. You'll be shocked how decisions that were made in elections in the 70s or in the 80s have shaped where we are today. Some persons didn't vote in those elections. Some persons did vote. But all of those elements put together have shaped Nigeria politically, economically, socially, and otherwise. So the question is, what decision are we going to make in 2027 in terms of whether we're going to take the responsibility to get our PVC now and be sure that we are not induced and as politicians will say, vote our conscience. So that in 30, 40, 50, 60 years' time, the next generations can look over their shoulder and realize that those before them had done right
by them. Yes, it's very important. Now, it's when you don't have this mindset of doing right by the coming generation, then you will feel that I don't need to get my permanent voter's card. I don't need to vote. It's not important. But you have to look back. Our children, our children. These are individuals who will look at us and say, okay, what did this generation, what was the impact? What did they make? What did they do? Why did they do by us? It's very important. And you have to have that mindset, knowing that election has evolved now. It's not the same old, where you have to stand at the queue from morning till night. You have to. And the thing is, for those who say, what has the government done? It's a different ball game now. We now know the tactics. It's not business as usual, where it was like that during various. I don't want to mention any. I don't want any bad blood, please. So the thing is, it's not like the past administration, the one before that, the present, and all of that. People now see beneath all of that now. And that is why I'm telling you, 2027, my own prediction, a lot of individuals are going to vote. A lot of Nigerians are going to come out in their mass. And now it's seamless online.
Right.
No stress, no hassle, sun.
You initiate the process online.
You initiate.
Then you finish up on site.
And you finish up on site, which is better and easier because.
And what we used to have.
To collect you have to be under the sun, like seriously, sunburns and all of that. But now it's easier and hopefully it will be seamless, even if it's going to be on site. Hope it's not going to take as long as. But with this process now, I think it's going to be much more better than what we used to have.
Right.
So no one has any excuse. So please go out and get your permanent voter's card. It makes a difference for you and I once you come out to vote in your mass.
All right. Well, let's begin to gear up for our conversation on the show today. As we take a quick break, when we return, we will put that on the route for you. Please don't go away. Up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning.
For the latest issues.
Always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m. Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global Television.
Wake up with Global Morning, your daily guide to what's happening and making the rounds.
We delve into headlines, newspaper reviews, spot-on analysis, policies, current events, real talk, real issues that affect us all.
From the latest trends to the debate, every topic, every angle, Global Morning is where it all starts.
Global Morning,
For the latest issues,
always on point.
Watch Global Morning Monday to Friday at 7 a.m., Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. on Global.
All right, thank you for staying with us here on Global Morning. We turn our attention now to development regarding the crisis in Venezuela, but we will domesticate it for a bit, especially from the standpoint of how Nigeria as a sovereign state is responding to it, given that there have been speculations and even permutation that this development will have very nasty adverse impact on our economy. Again, that is hinged on the calculation regarding the 2026 budget and the benchmark, because for a country that largely depends on monies from sale of crude to fund budget, this is quite concerning. Now, experts in the oil and gas sector on the global scene are saying that by the time the U.S. fully takes over the drilling of oil in Venezuela, the market is going to be flooded. So you will have what industry experts call a glut in the international oil market, which will cause a plummeting in the price of oil, which again will have repercussions for us back at home. But politically, we have seen people criticizing the Tinubu administration for either not responding at all or responding below expectation or par regarding the issue that is on the ground in Venezuela. This morning, we're joined by a global affairs analyst who will help us find context and perspective regarding this unfolding crisis. Idris Shaibu, would like to say a big thank you to you for coming on the program.
Good morning, Uyi. Good morning, Juma, my sister.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Great. So let's start from the home front. There are people who believe that even though Nigeria is not quote unquote affected by what has happened between the US and Venezuela, that this development, this event in itself is a reminder for us to look at or take a second look at our foreign policy. Is that timely? Is that necessary?
It is very, very necessary because as a sovereign state, with your foreign policy direction, you have to go in line with the reality of the trend in the international arena. Before I go into that, I think our viewers need to understand the dynamics in the international system. They need to understand how the world works, how actors on the global stage behaves, like what we saw in Caracas. You know, when President Donald Trump, again, has surprised the world with New Year gift after giving Nigeria Christmas gift, you know, in the city of Caliphate, Sokoto. And we need to understand how the world works, because it's wagging on the mouth of the people across the world that why will Donald Trump or a country leader go into another country, invade, enter into the country with U.S. tuna, one of the largest warship in the world, and U.S. Delta Force, one of the largest air force in the world, to, you know, enter into a country, territory, capture the, you know, kidnap. Let me use the word kidnap. Is a country's leader on the ground of drug-related offenses, and he will be charged in the American court. So many are surprised. What of the sovereignty of Venezuela? It should interest us to know that Venezuela since 1999 have had strained relations with United States of America.
So it didn't start with Donald Trump?
It didn't start with Donald Trump. So it has been a foreign policy direction of United States of America to take control of the Western Hemisphere. United States of America, through Donald Trump, have demonstrated what is called the Monroe Doctrine. The Monroe Doctrine is the foreign policy direction of the United States of America to take care of the Western Hemisphere.
That's the one Donald Trump now calls the Don Moore Doctrine.
He redefined it in his own term. He redefined it because the governments before Donald Trump have stick to that
Monroe Doctrine. Right.
But Donald Trump, when he came in his first term, he isolated America on the world stage.
Right.
So globalists, liberal thinkers in America were not comfortable with Donald Trump, even from his own party. George Bush and others were not comfortable with him. Then with the Democrat. When he came in his second term, he redefined it. He understood the dynamics, those mistakes that have even made him not to win the second term. So when he came, he tried to, embrace some elements of Monroe Doctrine to U.S. foreign policy, because United States of America see itself as the world police. And we live in an international system whereby somebody has to lead. If that is debatable, though. So United States of America has demonstrated the Monroe Doctrine by invading Venezuela. And U.S. also has a strained relation with Cuba, Mexico, Colombia, and all that. Is trying to take over Greenland. You see how controversial, how diplomatic, how strategic United States of America is. Now, the question now is, why are actors behaving like this? So I want to justify my argument on these 5 assumptions, because I'll come down to how it affects Africa and Nigeria as also an African state. I will use these 5 assumptions to justify my argument because of this conversation. Number 1, the nature of the international system is anarchy. There's anarchy in the international system. States are the sole actors in the international system. There is no authority that regulates their action. That is why Donald Trump invaded Venezuela, Caracas. That was the reason why Vladimir Putin in 2014 annexed Crimea Peninsula in Ukraine. And that is why the same Putin, unilaterally invaded Ukraine through special military operation, and that has led to the war between Ukraine and Putin. That the war still continues, though. Because Putin wants to protect Russia from the presence of the Western world in Russia's backyard. No country will take that nonsense from you. For you to be toying, for his peer competitor to be toying in his backyard, is the same vein. That is why United States of America under Donald Trump don't want Venezuela, Cuba, and other Latin Americans in his backyard to be romancing with his peer competitors like China. Russia and China. Is a threat. How can you seize United States license, oil license, and handed it over to a country like China, who is a peer competitor to United States global supremacy, is a threat to United States national interests. So, and for the purpose of this conversation too, is more deeper than that. Donald Trump has redefined the Monroe Doctrine, like I said before, by, in a way, allow Vladimir Putin, Xi Jinping of China, to have their way in the hemisphere. Before the strike, there was this backstage conversation between the 3 most powerful countries in the world. Unfortunately now, I think the rest of the country, the global south particularly, should be aware that the international system of yesteryears has been compromised. I mean, United Nations, in a way has technically declined, is in the state of decline. So we have the most powerful, 3 most powerful individuals on the world stage now. You have China, Xi Jinping, you have Russia, Vladimir Putin, you have Trump. Is either you align with one of these for one of these superpowers for your survival, or the risks of being invaded by one of them. So there are serious implications for this. And Nigeria, as a sovereign entity, as a sovereign state, is also being included.
Just to chip into what you've said now, in what ways are Nigeria and Venezuela similar when it comes to the dependence of oil? That's one. And then now, and how does this shape Nigerians' interest in this particular crisis?
Fantastic, Jumai. When you look at the national security strategy of the United States of America, it is very clear that United States of America will enact the Monroe Doctrine. So Nigeria, Africa is included. When it comes to Africa, it's Gulf of Guinea. In this Gulf of Guinea, you have the Francophone, you have Anglophone countries that are in the Gulf of Guinea. And there's oil there. So United States of America needs oil. I've mentioned before, earlier, that there are 5 assumptions that define how the world works. I've said it, that military capability, states are the sole actors in the international system. There is a survivor. Every country wants to survive. Donald Trump needs oil to improve America's economy. So, and some global competitors are toying with United States interests, with these owners of this oil, aligning with them. So it's a threat to U.S. economic interest or national interest as a whole. So intention, you don't know that your neighbors may have malign intention, and states are also strategic calculators. So when you look at these 5 assumptions, you put them into the blender, you switch it on, you have trouble. So that is why you see actors, super players on the world stage can go into a country, invade them for economic interest. So now, sovereignty, we live in a world whereby sovereignty supersedes globalization. Unfortunately, because United Nations is in a state of decline. I'm not saying United Nations is not relevant. When it comes to humanitarian services, United Nations, I still give it to him. But that global political will, he has been compromised because of the behaviors of these actors on the world stage. I think something needs to be done. And that is why member states are advocating for a reform of the United Nations Security Council. Nigerian sovereignty. So when it comes to Gulf nation, Trump needs oil. It's very clear. Forget about the allegation on the drug-related issues. It's more deeper than that.
So it's not all about the people of Venezuela.
Jumai is more than that. It's across the, when you look at the strategic blueprints of the United States, the security strategic records, Gulf of Guinea is being captured there. Africa is there. And Nigeria is an Anglophone fair. So it is the national interest of the United States of America to take care of the Anglophone fairs in the Gulf of Guinea. There's oil there. And they need that oil to complement the oil in Venezuela, because the oil in Venezuela is very hard. It needs a hard fracking, to drill. And ours here is much easier to drill. So they need it. Because of their military capability, they will get it. So it is high time for countries in these regions, weaker nations, particularly countries in the global south, to understand the dynamics of the current international system, that you just have to align with these current players, or you risk to be attacked. And in this Gulf of Guinea, like I mentioned earlier, you have Anglophone, you have Francophone speaking countries there. We have area of resources. We have enough resources.
And America has its eye on those resources.
America has its eyes on those resources. America will never compromise that. No. So now you have the president of France there in this Gulf of Guinea, because we have American companies, licenses that have been, seized and handed it over to
China.
To Russia, So this is a threat to United States. You see, China, Russia, and United States are not comfortable with the president of France in the Gulf of Guinea. So it should interest people to know that, and I also advise Nigerian government to look into its foreign policy deeply with the current reality. Although we cannot. You cannot deny the fact that we cannot accuse Nigeria of ideological necrophilia. Right. But with the reality, you have to dance to the tune of the global trend. China, Xi Jinping, Russia, Vladimir Putin, Donald Trump are not comfortable with Macron roaming about in the Gulf of Guinea. So it is, I think, countries in this hemisphere, countries in this region should be sensitive enough not to, align themselves, with France. If not, they should be waiting for one of these guys. And the implication is that what Donald Trump did, the implication is that it has given Vladimir Putin the ticket to even go into Ukraine and pick Zelensky. It has given Xi Jinping to attack Taiwan. Since 1949, leaders before Xi Jinping have vowed to take over Taiwan to the mainland China. So it is in their national interest, and they will never compromise that.
Let's bring it home now to Nigeria. Now, what lessons can we as Nigerians learn from all of this? And how can we manage our own resources in order not to fall into this detriment of Venezuela at this point?
Thank you, Jumai. I have this realistic view on international politics. We live in a world, like I said earlier, we live in a world whereby you just have to align. The international system, there's structural imbalance in the international system. Really? Yes, there's structural imbalance. I will give you example, Jumai. The United Nations Security Council, we have 15 member states there. Permanent, 5 permanent, 10 non-permanent. And in that 5 permanent, you have United States of America, you have Russia, you have China, you have the Great Britain, that is United Kingdom. These 5 permanent members have veto. So, for example now, after Donald Trump invaded Venezuela, United Nations Security Council called for emergency meeting. Because whenever there is an emergency security issue like that, you see them with Antonio Guterres, the UN Secretary General, also, condemned the attack. But these are mere diplomatic, strategic voice, but it's the responsibility of United Nations to do so. But these guys are so powerful. United States is also in that diplomatic table. US will never agree on a resolution that will negate its interests. And the way the United Nations is being structured, particularly that UN Security Council, if a permanent member veto or abstain, resolution cannot be ratified. Right. Unfortunately. So it's a double standards game. So that is why weaker nations now, since there are advocacy to reform the United Nations Security Council to align with the current realities, unfortunately, it has never happened yet, although I don't know, maybe in near futures, I don't know. But you have to stick to the current reality. So that is why a country like Nigeria should understand the dynamics in the international politics. For your survival, I'm not saying you should toy with your sovereignty, because we have guiding principles, that is guiding our foreign policy. So we have to be strategic in aligning with these owners of the world: China, Russia, United States of America.
All right, let's, like Jimmy said, let's bring it home. But I think at this point we'll say let's stay at home, right? Okay. Nigeria has, as far as we know, not officially stated a position on this development. Is it an I don't care situation we are having on our hands, or is it some kind of strategic silence?
Thank you. Nigeria, like I've said, you cannot accuse Nigeria of ideological necrophilia. Right from onset, there is this non-aligned posture enshrined Nigerian foreign policy that during the the Cold War
Right.
between the United States of America and the Soviet Union, championed by Russia, where you have these two ideological foes, and the rest of the world subscribe to either
side,
capitalism or socialism. And you agree with me that we are still living in that reality,
right? One way or another.
One way or the other. And you know, I think I advise Nigeria, just like I said earlier, to redefine its foreign policy. Even all African countries, because of this reality, they should redefine their foreign policy to stick to the interests of these three guys for your survival. Because the best way to survive on this world stage is to be powerful, and that power is military capability. You need nuclear power. If you don't have nuclear power, you are weak, you are vulnerable. These actors will come after you. So you have to be very, very strategic. Because survival is the normal goal of every state. Even as an individual, you need to be strategic in taking decisions so that it will not compromise your survival.
I want to just add something quickly to that with a bit of economic angle to it. The president, Trump, made very clear that following the abduction, quote unquote, of Nicolas Maduro, that U.S. oil firms will move in, all right, to start drilling. Of course, they will ramp up production capacity and all of that, even though we hear now that those companies, for the most part, are now asking for guarantees, perhaps from the U.S. government, all right? But back at home, we are hearing that, look, if the U.S. actually goes in and starts drilling, there will be a market glut. There's going to be, if you like, an oversupply of oil, such that even OPEC Plus may not be able to control. Who knows? That's, in the final analysis, will have a very adverse impact on the price of oil, which will affect us back at home, especially the 2026 budget.
Very well. You know, issues, critical issues like this, when you have a complex issue, particularly that has to do with oil, you know, it's very, very sensitive. And it's, in a way, it will cause division among experts. So I think individuals will be looking at it from different dimensions. United States of America have said it clearly from its own strategy of after the invasion, after they've captured Maduro, that number one, Maduro, they are going to supervise the political system of Venezuela. Secondly, the economy, that is where the issue of oil comes, that those licenses that have been seized from the United States of America, handed it over to a country like China, will now be reversed to American companies. And in a way, America will have the opportunity to supervise the operational system of the oil business in Venezuela. Fantastic. And the third strategy is the transition government. And if they have a puppet in Venezuela, it will give them the strategic opportunity to control their economy. Now back at home, I think Nigerian government, this is the time, this is the test to our foreign policy direction. Nigeria needs experts from oil and gas. Nigeria needs experts from the energy industry to give our foreign policy stakeholders and advise Nigerian government which direction we are going to make. Because any strategic mistake will have a serious implication in our national economy.
Now let's quickly talk about the potential impact. Now what does this potential impact of Venezuela have on Nigeria's local economy when it comes to inflation, our oil pricing? Of course, we see what is happening in our oil pricing, and in areas such as the pricing, inflation, and revenue generation in Nigeria.
That is why you might have said it, if you listen to me very well, that it has to do with your direction. Because whatever decision you've made, it will strategically affect your economy. You talk about inflation. Any mistake from our alignment with the reality, of course, it will have a positive or negative implication on our local content.
All right, we're going to take a quick break at this point, everyone. When we return, we'll look at the long haul. How will African countries, whether you want to call them by their blocks, ECOWAS for example, or the African Union, I mean a continent that has 54 nations sitting right on it, brace up, if you like, redefine and reinvent its own methods on the international political system, and be sure that it not only fights fair, but is able to compete favorably in the Committee of Nations. That will be our focus when we return from this break. Please do stay with us. All right, let's continue to drive this conversation around Venezuela and all of the issues around it. As it stands today, even beyond the challenge that this development, as far away from Africa as it is, will most likely have on Nigeria, experts are also concerned that it is not only a wake-up call for Africa, it is a reminder, a very uncomfortable one, that the continent has not been serious about its own business, whether political, economic, social, or diplomatic. I want us to talk about Africa now. There are people who say, look, Donald Trump is out for these global South nations that are aligning or even joining BRICS. For example, they'll talk about South Africa. Of course, China and Russia are big when it comes to BRICS. India is big. Nigeria has one way or another aligned with BRICS. Is there some truth in that?
Yes, strategically, there are facts. You know, if you offend these big guys,
you pay a price for it.
Yes.
Directly or indirectly?
Directly or indirectly. Any angle, they will come after you. It depends on how you play the card. If you play it hard, they give it to you like that. If you play it softly, they are also there. They are there also. Now, Africa, this is the wake-up time for Africa because of the realities on the world stage. Like I've mentioned earlier, from the strategic point of view, because it's the best theory to describe global scenarios. We don't have to waste much time. Africa as a continent is been lagging behind. You know, we don't have that strategic voice on the world stage due to many factors. That is why through the Ezumili consensus, Africans are pushing to become the 5th permanent member of the United Nations Security Council. And maybe 1 or 2 African states will also have this veto.
Sorry to just interject, but do you see a possibility in that, fighting to be one of the veto powers? Do you see any possibility at all when it comes to that? Or it's just a far outcry or a far reach of something that's not possible?
Juma, I'm not being pessimistic, I'm not being optimistic, but I'm determined.
Okay.
When you look at it, the structure of the international system, you just have to be real. You know, you've asked this question, we and you, Juma, I still push it. This is the time for you to understand the game.
Right.
I am not saying you should be a threat or be too controversial. You can be a little bit controversial to draw attention, you know, but you don't overdo things. African nations now, this is the time for them to be united. Like the United Nations Security Council that I've mentioned, there was a division among African nations there because of this superiority complex. The bigger boys on the African continent, you have Nigeria, you have Egypt, you have South Africa, you have Ethiopia. These are guys with rivalries technically within the region. The Sahelian states, these the coup leaders in the Sahel, somehow technically got it right by trying to have their bloc. They have their Sahelian bloc now.
Yes, they do.
I think they've established their own bank. Trying to move away from dollar, a replica of what BRICS have done. If you look at their foreign policy direction, who are they aligned with? Of course, Vladimir Putin.
It's Russia.
Of course, Xi Jinping. That is why you still come back to my realistic point of view that the best way to survive is to romance with the big guys.
All right, so let's see how much more romance we can do with this conversation. Right, Trump just this week, in fact, Wednesday of this week, had an extensive interview with the New York Times. Several issues were discussed, including Venezuela as expected. And President Trump says, in response to the question of how long, or for how long would the U.S. be on the ground or stay on this Venezuela matter, and he says it could last for years. Is that not disturbing? Looks like there's no exit plan or something, at least at this point.
When you go detail to the Monroe Doctrine, United States of America strategically is in charge of that hemisphere.
Right.
So United States of America, in his own view, didn't see any of these countries, Cuba,
Mexico, Colombia, and the likes.
Didn't see them as a sovereign state. When you go deep, as enacted by John Quincy Adams,
right?
You know, the then U.S. Secretary of State and also a former president. You know, that Monroe Doctrine, James Monroe Doctrine, when you read it very well, didn't see the U.S. countries in the U.S. backyard as a full-fledged sovereign state because they were able to push out
Europe, Portugal, and the likes.
Yes, out of U.S. backyard in order for United States to take control.
And now Europe cannot interfere in those matters.
That gave United States of America to have this posture on the world stage as a regional hegemon. The world is too big for you to become a global hegemon. But strategically, if you can control your corridor, it will give you an edge on the global stage. That is why US don't want a peer competitor. If you are in Asia or Europe, you are somehow technically trying to, you know, have a US model to control your corridor. US will come after you. They don't toy with it. No American president has played with that. Donald Trump too is also stick to that U.S. National interest in different forms, even though he has redefined his own. So, United States control that. U.S. has this hegemonistic tendency in the Western Hemisphere. So that is why, unfortunately, that is how it will continue. United States will continue to have influence in the U.S. backyard.
I know Joma will have a question to ask you. I just wanted to ask this because, you see, we can't sit here talk about this all day and not acknowledge, amongst other things, the fact that if you like, the craze for resources or resource control or resource ownership is part of, very big on this conversation. For example, if we remove oil from this Venezuela development, I'm sure the conversation would drastically change. In Africa, beneath our soil, we're blessed with abundant resources, right? From rare earth to, stones, crude, and what have you. And people are even saying now, scientifically, that there's even so much more we are yet to discover than the one we already have discovered. But let's leave that aside for a second. If resources are at the heart of these sort of moves that the U.S. has made on Venezuela, is Africa safe? Because it appears America is always going to, at some point, have a Donald Trump at the White House.
Survival is the inner goal of every state that I've mentioned earlier. Because of these resources and the power, this super countries possess, it will naturally or strategically attract them to come. And internally, because of our weak institutions, you know, the corruption that have, you know, become a way of life in our governance system, you know, a lot, and the technological know-how. That is why we need to encourage students to embrace science and technology.
Right.
And governments should also support our engineering students to do more, because we need to compete with the global scientists. It helps a lot. Unfortunately, we are lagging behind. That is why these superpowers, you know, took advantage. They took advantage over our vulnerability, because, and it is a challenge to African leaders to wake up, you know, put more effort in all our institutions, particularly our educational institutions. You know, we need more infrastructures so that, because, but these guys have gone far.
Right.
The superpowers have gone far. And I am not saying we should remain the same. If we want them to respect us, we need to empower our own resources. We need to have control over our resources. And we cannot control our resources with weak, when we have institutions that are weak.
But let's bring it home again to Nigeria.
Okay, it's very, very important.
It's very important.
You know, you're dressing.
I'm always bringing it
home. You're an African diplomat. I like that. Okay.
Let's bring it home now. Now, with the intervention of the United States in Nigeria, trying to help us curb quote unquote insecurity, but a lot of speculations about the eyes being on the prize. That's our mineral resources that we have here now. Now, with all of this and what we have seen in Venezuela that just happened,
yes,
Nigeria, are we safe when it comes to our mineral resources and being in the hems of affairs?
Technically, we are not safe. Strategically, we are vulnerable. Because in the national interest blueprint of the United States of America, there is Africa there. Gulf of Guinea, the oil, because of the oil. And in that same document, it is in the national interest of the United States of America to protect the Anglophile. Fortunately and unfortunately, Jumai, Nigeria, our own country, is in the Anglophile. So strategically, it is in the national interest of the United States of America to protect, to have influence in this Anglophile. So our resources, because of our resources, we will see American boots
on the ground.
Whether we like it or not. Jumai, the next area of concentration now in that blueprint is Africa. And Nigeria is in which continent? Africa. And we are blessed with resources,
yes, we are.
Tap and untapped resources. So we should expect them. But it depends on how we are able to play the card.
Exactly.
If we play it, you know, without being strategic.
Or vulnerable.
We will be more vulnerable, and it will have a serious implication.
But how can we put our foot down? For as much as we understand their inputs and what they bring to us as a nation, but how can we guard our resources as a nation also, but without allowing them to interfere so much to, you know, because what happened in Venezuela is an eye-opener to so many countries.
Very well.
A lot of a lot of presidents have seen that these superior countries have come to stay. And so how can we protect all of that without being vulnerable at the same time? And like you said, playing good or being nice to the bigger boys.
It's a good strategy. Hey. Whether we like it or not, those guys will come. And for us to have control on our resources, you see, the platforms, the continental platform we have, there are serious fundamental issues there that need to be addressed. The African Union, you know, from that angle, there are divisions among African. because of these superiority tendency among the leaders. Then we have corruption. You know, we have that one too. Then the regional blocks, either COMESA or ECOWAS, unfortunately, there are a lot of gaps there that need to be closed. When you have, like our EcoBank, a replica of Euro, you know, European Union. Unfortunately, look at EcoBank now. It's just like a mainstream bank, like
a traditional commercial
bank.
But do you think if ECOWAS, all African countries coming together and closing all these gaps that we're talking about, do you think there will be a difference when it comes to decision making by these superior countries?
You just have to be pragmatic in your approach. If you want to do things right, sometimes you have to be controversial, you have to be strategic, you just have to be bold. If you don't do that, nobody will do it for you. So we still have the opportunity, the political and strategic opportunity to redefine Africa. We can still be relevant. I'm not saying we are not that relevant, but there are a lot of gaps that need to be closed there.
Exactly.
That is by uniting. If Africa is ready to, you know, to be great, Africa can do that.
All right, that's interesting. But let's ask you just one more question before we're done now, right? We've seen what has happened with Ukraine. There are people who believe till the world ends that the war in Ukraine is actually between the U.S. and Russia. All right, so it's not between Russia and Ukraine. That's Ukraine at best is only a pawn in this puzzle, in this chess game as we know it. That's the reason when the Christmas Day bombing happened or strikes in Sokoto State, northwest Nigeria, people say, look, if Nigerian government does not handle this very cautiously and diplomatically, we can become another Ukraine case. And the Ukraine war has not ended as we know it, even though Donald Trump has intervened. How do we also ensure that, excuse me, Nigeria does not go the Ukraine way, especially now that these powers, whether you're talking about the Western Bloc or the Eastern Bloc, I mean China, US, and Russia, are seeking out such praise to use?
I think this is the time for Nigeria to be more closer to the United States of America strategically, and also stick to his alignment, his relation with Russia, because of Donald Trump's strategic way of handling the Ukraine issues. When you look at Joe Biden, the former U.S. president, you understand that United States of America, you know, supported 100% strategic support, military support, financial support to Zelensky in Ukraine.
Right.
But when it comes to Donald Trump, he's playing double game. Because Zelensky so many times have visited the White House during Biden. He was welcome. Donald Trump's time,
he was harassed.
He was harassed by not wearing the suits. You know, and we know Zelensky with his own outfit, very simple jacket, or you know. That is to show you that United States is not ready to support Ukraine.
Under the Donald Trump White House.
Yes, under Donald Trump's foreign policy.
Right.
Donald Trump, in a way, has derailed from that U.S. traditional foreign policy by redefining it in his own time because of the quest for resources. Even though his predecessors also need that resources, but they have their clear, you know, strategic position when it comes to assisting their allies. But in Donald Trump's, we saw, you know, double standards there. He allowed Putin to have his way to control the Eastern Europe. You know, before now, Ukraine is a buffer zone to Russia. No Russian president will allow Ukraine to romance with the Western powers. Zelensky want Ukraine to be part of NATO. And during the Soviet Union, you know, NATO was the military pact of the Western world, and Warsaw for the Soviet Union during the ideological crisis before the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991. And when Putin came, he wanted to revamp, you know, you want to bring back that Russian glory, that Soviet old glory, in another form, by not toying with his foes in Russian corridor. So it's a replica of the Monroe Doctrine in the United States of America. You know? So Nigeria too, because of the reality, this is the time for us to be serious that I've mentioned earlier. The Western Bloc, the Sahelian states, this is the time for us to come together. And for our survival, again, this is the time for us to not to go closer to France. Because Xi Jinping, China, Russia, that I've mentioned earlier, I'll keep mentioning this. I've mentioned that this is a different platform. You know, they don't want Macron present in Africa.
But don't you think it's too late for that with this tax reform that is on? Well, tilting towards the way of France. They're the ones that we're taking cue from when it comes to our tax reform policy. So how are we going to do that now? So
I'll be glad if you can do that in 1 minute.
I think I don't have details on the tax. But my analysis or my response will always be on the diplomatic angle. You know, that is why I said experts need to advise our government to stop affiliating with France. I am not saying we should not have a diplomatic relation with
or tie or bilateral relationship.
That serious relation, especially when it comes to the economic interest aspect of it. That you know, Xi Jinping, Donald Trump, and Vladimir Putin.
Well done.
Thank you.
All right, that's we're leaving it with this conversation, everyone. We've been talking to Idris Shaibu, who's a global affairs analyst, and he's been talking to us about the Venezuela issue and the burgeoning impact it's now having on a global scale. Again, we appreciate you for those insights. Thank you so very much.
Thanks for being a part of the program.
My sister.
Thank you.
That's my elder sister's name.
Okay.
Interesting.
Oh, I'm namesake. Oh, fantastic.
All right, that's what we're leaving it, everyone. Thank you for watching. Just to remind you that the views of our guests on all our programs, including here on Global Morning, their opinions. I'm Uyi Agumofwegbe.
And I am Jumai Manson. Thank you all so much for being a part of the program. Thank you so much to our guest again for being a part of our program and sharing your wheels of knowledge with us today. Have an amazing day ahead. Bye-bye.